This podcast was produced under the authority of the Podcast Police, who may or may not have investigated the host and guests prior to broadcasting. Any unlawful statements will be investigated further and persecuted to the fullest extent of the podcast law.
Well, whistle me Dixie.
Hey, welcome back. It is Troy Holden here with the VO Life. We are video today, just for grins and giggles, want to see how it works. Couple things. Today, we're going to be talking about the illusion of VO. And this is not, is VO real? Or that's not that. There are some illusions you can be drawn into when you're doing VO. And what are those illusions and how does it work? Well, let's talk about the one that jumps out to me the most. And this is going to be a short one. People giving the illusion that they are booking and making good money. I think the goal for most everyone that's in VO is six figures. I don't know why that's a goal. I don't know why that has to be such a thing that we want to climb and get to. But it's there, and we recognize it. A lot of us want to make that six-figure income. We lean into that hard. So we don't want to be perceived as failing out in the real world. Where is this thing going? It's about to fall off. That was probably noisy. Sorry about that. We don't want to be perceived as failing, so we don't always show transparency. There's an illusion to a lot of that. There are people that we probably think are successful, and really they should just be honest about their level of success. And sadly, I'm one of those people that's overly transparent. I haven't hit six figures. I said that back at the first of the year. I got closer than I have gotten. I got invited to be in a Facebook group just for people in VO that had crossed six figures. And when they reached out to me, I said, I can't do that. I'm not. Really? You're not? No. I'm close, fairly close. I'm 80% of the way there, but no, I'm not doing that. And I'm sure not going to get on there and put on the front that I'm doing it, because I'm not. I absolutely am not. Am I frustrated by that? Sometimes, but not really. I break things down weekly and monthly. I don't worry too much about the annual, and my annual goal, it's not six figures. Sorry. The way I look at that is, if I build a very solid base of direct clients and they're coming back often enough, I should be able to eventually get there. It may take me a few more years. But what I'm looking at doing is building a solid, reputable base that I can live with. Then if I happen to book through an agent a couple of good jobs every year, and that's all I expect. I don't expect to book every month with my agents, because I don't. If I book 4 times a year through agents, that's pretty good for me. And a good example is this year, I don't think I've booked any agency gigs. I'm trying to remember, but I don't think I have. I haven't. I'm pretty sure I haven't. But I have made decent money. The first quarter was ahead of last year's first quarter because I'm building a bank of people. So let's don't give any illusions. And if you're not, you're starting up and you've had all this coaching, you're going to all these workshops and you're doing all this stuff and you're not making the money, I probably wouldn't want to say much about it either. But the thing is, look at the other side of it. There are people out there wanting to get into this. They want to understand the transparency of what it takes. And this is tough. It's very, very tough. Let's make that number 2. There is no illusions to me that this is an easy business. But I think a lot of people have that illusion. This is an easy thing to get into. I can buy a few $100s worth of stuff and get a room treated for another few hundred. And, for $1,000, I'm all in and I'm ready to go. No, you're not ready to go. That's the illusion that some give. And then there are people who sell a package that they will get you under I don't know how they word some of it, but they will put you in this package. You'll come out on the other side and you can start really making money, good money. Maybe you can. I don't know. There's always an exception to the rule, but you give me 100 people going through something like that, 98 of them are not going to come out making money. Maybe 99, maybe all 100. I don't know, but it's going to be a slim percentage. What it takes is a whole lot of endurance, a whole lot of effort, a whole lot of work. My first few years part-time, I put in a lot of time. My first year and a half full-time, 7 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day. Why? Were you that busy? I was that busy generating what I have now. And now I have to stay busy generating what I want next year and the year after. When you're starting up, you have nothing to show. You have no work. You have no bookings. You have nothing. So you have to get those. How do you get those? Well, you do it on platforms or pay to plays or this, that, and the other. If you're trained and you can compete. What if you can't compete? So, and you're not trained and ready, you're not going to book the work. So going out and getting that direct business is not easy, but it does build this, like I said earlier, a base. And my base of business changed. The second year, my base of business was a lot of YouTube content, but it was steady, it was regular, and it gave me income to go pay for more coaching, to get better, to learn more, to make more contacts, to go to conferences. And one thing that I'm learning this year is VO conferences are fantastic. I can't wait to go to One Voice in August. I love seeing people. I'm really going to enjoy presenting. I can't wait to do that. But let's look at the other side of that investment. You go down there and you spend a couple of grand, to fly in and stay and buy your ticket, and maybe more than that, maybe $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, depending on where you're coming from. Look at other things to go to as well. Are you engaged in political? There are political type conferences and things in different cities to where people will be there that are decision makers that hire voice actors. The automotive conferences that are held all over the country. And you're thinking, well, they say don't go direct to the dealers. Well, guess who else comes to those automotive conferences? The ad agencies, because they're pitching to them. So then you could show up with a business cards or your dot card or whatever and get around to those people. Heck, I don't know. They may have booths there too. I don't know. These are things that have come to me recently as this next year. What do I want to do to expand and build my business? I want to go to places where people hire voice actors, as well as go to conferences where I can interact and enjoy and grow my credibility, grow my relationships with other VOs, and that kind of stuff. So it's twofold. And those, that's a couple of the big illusions. There's more illusions, illusions like, you see people in these beautiful, perfect studios and you have to have that to make money. No, I know people making a killing in a walk-in closet with just clothes in it. And, they're using a Scarlett and a $200 shotgun mic, not a $900 shotgun mic. And they sound great because they have a good ear. There are illusions about, you have to do all this stuff on social media like this. You don't have to do any of this. I do it because I enjoy it. This is something I wanted to do years and years ago. I wanted to get into media, whether it was radio or TV or whatever, be a weatherman. I wouldn't have cared. I just wanted to do that kind of work. I didn't get to. I worked in automotive manufacturing for 35 years or 30 years. And before that, I was in the garment supply industry, supplying sewing machines to sewing factories in the South and Southeast. And it was a family business, and I loved it. I learned more about business there than I learned anywhere. It was the best degree I could have gotten and learned it all from my father. But the illusion of you have to do all that stuff, it's not real. It's not going to get you any more business. Not likely. And there are people who will argue that point. They will say, no, your LinkedIn presence, blah, 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 and you're this presence. Okay, you should have a presence maybe, but I use those things to research and individually message people. I try not to overly post on there because honestly, I live a dull life. I don't have a lot to post about. Most people that know me know I got horses and I live on a small farm and that's it. And I have nothing else much to share. So just so you know, I don't want to give the illusion that I'm on here because, I'm trying to build some huge social presence and get all these followers. That's not why I do it. I do it mainly for, the group, the Facebook group. I enjoy that. I enjoy helping people in the group. And I'll do it occasionally to just in case if I'm posting a job that I booked. So people that might happen to see that go, oh, he can do that. Listen, that sounds pretty good. Maybe we should reach out to him. But I'm not doing it for the social cred in that way. And to those of you that do that, hats off. You are very creative. You have a lot of patience and a lot of endurance. And that's what makes people really good at this business, right? So don't let all of these illusions get to you. Stay grounded, stay focused. And if you love doing this, know that it's going to take time. And it's different now than it was 5-6 years ago when COVID broke out. It's different than it was 3 years ago, I think. 2 and 3 years ago. I think it's changed again. And it's just not easy. And if the illusion is it's easy money and it's easy to do, wipe that illusion off the plate because it's not. It's just not. And, keep at it. If you really love it, keep at it. It's what I do. There's days and weeks I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I've had a terrible week. Today's April 28th. The last 2 weeks in April, I had one good day in each week, which was a little over target for me or a little better than target. But the month of April right now, I'm at about half of what I usually am. And it's based on a couple things. I didn't land any pay-to-play jobs. My Fiverr was down to almost nil. I made a lot of new stuff on there, flipped a bunch of stuff over to Pro because I don't want cheap work. If somebody finds me on there, they're going to pay, right? I say this all the time. So by changing those gigs over to Pro, well, that means minimum price. Minimum is $100, and I'm not going to give you hardly anything for that. You're not going to get any broadcast usage, nothing. It's going to be private, individual. It's got to be for your personal use, and it ain't going to be many words. And those of you that know how Fiverr works understand what I'm talking about. And to set up those gigs properly with some other genres like political ads, I started including you pay this price and you get 13 weeks local broadcast rights included. So somebody can click the button and they don't have to go, do I need that right or that right? What I need? I'm not sure. I don't understand. I make it easy for them to go, oh, well, it's just going to run on local radio for a few weeks and order that, and I'm done. So I was setting a lot of stuff up, and I found on there when you start adding and changing and whatever, it'll usually slow you down for a few weeks. So I'm hoping that'll come back. It should. Who knows? It's another wild card, right? So it was, I won't give the illusion I had a good April. I didn't. It was slow for me, but coming into the weekend and today being Sunday, Friday when it started, Friday. Yeah, Friday. I was down in Gallatin getting my iron infusion, number 2 of 3, feeling better. It's coming around. It just takes a few weeks, and I'll be good to go for a couple of years, hopefully. But anyway, I was there, and I got noticed that a job that I had gotten a message on voices.com that they were going to let me have the job, but they'd never awarded the job. They said they were finalizing scripts, but they wanted me to do it. And that was the IVR phone automation stuff for Vermeer Bobcat, Texas, Louisiana, and it was a lot of stores. I mean, I can't remember if it was 13, 14 different stores. The great thing was the meat of it was on the when it would answer had the same exact message. So all I had to do was record that once, and then the 14 lead-ins. Thanks for calling, Bobcat of Texas, Amarillo, or however it was worded. It is usually Vermeer. And I had to just paste those in, save as a separate file. Then I had to do all the other separate files. It's about 42, 45 files. But I enjoyed it because it was for Texas, and they wanted, that super Texas guy voice and my Ford truck type voice, or whatever you want to call it. I have to give them names. That way, as soon as I read a script, okay, we're going to do this voice. And I know by the name how my point of view, how I'm going to do it, everything. So that's why that comes out that way. But that came in. I got another heat and air commercial that came in on Saturday. I got some additional work that came in. I can't remember. It was direct work. And next thing I knew, in 2 days, and everything was done and delivered by last night, I went ahead and spent some time on it yesterday because, as some of you know, my wife's home during the day on the weekends, but she works at night, so she sleeps during the day, and I'll come down here and do a little work. I can't do much in the house or outside around the house because it's noisy. It'll wake her up. So I may come down here and record for a little while. And so we did that. I got that done. And, then when I looked at what I billed out, when I was done with that, I was like, whoa, cool. That worked out great. And I probably won't get any of that in to credit my receivables for April, but it sure makes going into May feel and look better than it was going into April. I'm a person who, and this is an illusion, I guess, when I open my Waves app up and there is quite a bit in there that's not paid yet, some people would freak out and go, God, they're not paying me. I've got one deal I'm working on right now from February that hasn't paid, but I've never gotten stiffed yet. And I don't think these people will. They're a pretty large production house, and I just think it's in the confines of their paperwork, and they probably pay slower than the guy said net 30, but they probably take 60 or 90. He just wasn't transparent with me. So he gave me the illusion I'd be paid in 30 days, and I ain't getting paid in 30 days. There ain't no doubt. So anyway, I say all that to say this, the illusion I had was I was going to have a terrible month. I was down, and that's when all those bad things set in. Imposter syndrome. You get down, you get upset, you get worried. And I was there. I mean, man, I was in the dumps for a few days, and also not being up to par with my health, with my iron being down. And the way that affects me is it's like being anemic. You might get up and hit the ground running, and in 2.5, 3 hours, you're like, man, I need a nap. I'm tired. And sometimes I'd have to do that, go take an hour nap, get back up and go again. But now I'm already seeing I'm waking up earlier already after 2 treatments. I'm able to go at it all day and not get tired. But, about 7:30 at night, I'm like, hey, can we go to bed yet? And she's like, it ain't dark. So, but anyway, I have the illusion it's time to go to bed. But don't work yourself into a hole when things get this way, because this is a very cyclical business, and it's just going to do that. Oh, and also another story I want to quickly tell, and you may have seen it on in the group. About a year ago, may have been a little longer than that, a local hospital wanted to do a video featuring some of their employees, and they had sent me some clips and some stills, and I put together a 30 and a 60 for them for their website and for their Facebook page, and put it all together, voiced it, turned out really nice. Did it reasonably, got it to them quickly. They were happy with it. They paid quickly. Within probably 10 days after I sent an invoice, I had a check. Great. Hadn't thought a lot about it, but of course I put them in my warm file, and they would get my newsletters and whatever. They were even on my local podcast. This is where I see that podcasts sometimes pay off, but not that often. They had recently been bought out by a large hospital corp, St. Thomas Ascension, and High Point Health, and they're rebranding 3 of the facilities in the county that I live in. And they had a video company come in and shoot a lot of new video, and I'm talking about a regular production company, not some guy with an iPhone. And they were presented 10 voices from the production company, and the lady that was over their marketing said, "Why are we listening to these? We know who our voice is. Let's call Troy and see if he's got time." They called me on Thursday. We had a meeting Friday. I went ahead and put voice and music to everything they had, sent it to them on Friday night. We have a meeting Monday morning to finalize if we need to make any changes. And this is a 1-year TV spot and 13 weeks of radio for a 30 and a 60. And it's a great payday. Yes, GVAA, I quoted. Of course I did. That's what we do because we know what we're doing. Didn't charge them any extra to lay the music out. Gave them 4 or 5 choices. I did that because that's something you can sweeten the pie with, right? And they really weren't sure how they were going to get their music, and they actually had been given the Envato site that I use. And she may come back and say, "Hey, I found this. I like this better," and that's great. I'll change it. But I gave her 3 or 4 choices that I found. And we'll see, and we'll have that meeting Monday. And that was another huge piece of the pie going into May. I mean, in all honesty, everything that I did this weekend is double what I made in April. So you just never know. The illusion may be, man, we're going off the deep end. We're not going to make any money this month. It's terrible. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden, the reality becomes, oh, look at all this I've got now. That doesn't mean next week will be busy. I could be right back in the same shape. I could have 2 more weeks of dead. But I've learned not to believe the illusion my business is gone. I've learned to keep doing my marketing a couple hours a day, knock out what little jobs I have, and then get out of here and not sit here and worry. Do my podcast stuff, produce some podcast ahead. If I have the blessing of working on a demo with somebody, maybe I'm working on the copy, I'm researching, I'm doing things, to watch other spots to make sure I understand the brand feel for what I'm putting together for them. There's always things to do. But the thing is, stay away from the illusion of a train crash. We're not about to have a train wreck. Things are just slow. And even working in manufacturing, car sales would slow down. We would slow down. We would go back to regular work days versus 10-hour days on the manufacturing floor. We could cut overtime. You adjust and you pivot and you don't panic. And I think that's going to be my new saying. And I may even put that on a sign in this booth. Pivot, don't panic. Pretty simple, huh? Hey, don't get the grand illusion that things are terrible, awful. Don't get the grand illusion that things are terrible, easy. It is a very competitive deal. You're going to have to take your time. It's a slow crawl sometimes. Sometimes it's a walk. Sometimes it's a jog. Sometimes you're wide open running. But most of the time, you just need to not fall for the illusion, not fall for the hype, not fall for the going off the deep end, not fall for the, oh my gosh, I'm going to make this much every week. There's no illusion with me from Friday to today that I did as well as I did. There's no illusion that's going to keep going. I know better. And again, pivot, don't panic. Gosh, I like that. That should be my new studio logo, I think. Pivot, don't panic. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. But stay in control. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. Don't let all this overcome you. Don't fall for the illusions, and just keep going at it. You can do this. I know you can. I mean, we all have our days where it's tough, but don't fall for those illusions. See you next time.
This has been The VO Life with Troy Holden. If you'd like to consult with Troy one-on-one, visit his website and schedule time at TroyHoldenVoices.com. Join the VO Live Facebook page and interact with other new voice talent. Join the VO workouts or the midweek meetup on the VO Live page events. And be sure and leave a review on Apple and let us know what you'd like us to cover on the podcast. You can also get all of the episodes on Troy's YouTube page. Just search for Troy Holden Voices. That boy is everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. Next thing you know, he'll have a streaming TV show. God forbid. And I will.